Alright, so first and foremost, before we get this video started, I just want to say that there is nothing wrong with the OLED Steam Deck. In fact, there are a ton of reasons that you should pick one up, not the least of which obviously is the screen upgrade, which aside from just being awesome as an OLED enhancement, also has a number of other improvements as well, including being a little bit brighter, has a wider color gamut. I think it has a slightly larger screen at I think a 7.4-inch diagonal, and for all of that, it also has a 90 Hz refresh rate available now. And beyond that, it also has better battery life thanks to a beefed up 50 watt-hour battery, which boosts playtime by 30 to 50%. It has a dedicated Bluetooth radio, support for Wi-Fi 6, improved touchscreen, improved touch haptics if I'm recalling that correctly, and really just a whole host of tiny upgrades to just make the thing, elevated even beyond the original Steam Deck. And all of this without increasing the price, which is pretty great. But it's not so great that I'm going to take the leap just yet. And that whole smattering of tiny improvements that I just mentioned is probably the best place to start that conversation. Now, I won't deny that those improvements are great on their own merit, and I can't think of anybody who would scoff at better battery life for a system like this, but fundamentally speaking, it still is rocking the same innards as the original Steam Deck, with no real graphical improvement to speak of in terms of just the raw graphical horsepower. And that's not a knock against the OLED Steam Deck or anything like that. It's just, for me personally right now, if I did need some kind of a graphical, upgrade to my portable play, I would probably just reach for the Ally or something like that. So for me personally, it doesn't make a ton of sense. Plus, beyond that, most of the time when I'm playing the Steam Deck, even though I would love to take advantage of that OLED screen, most of my time is spent playing the deck in docked mode nowadays because I spend so much time capturing footage to make videos for here on the channel. So both from the perspective of a player and a content creator, there's not a ton of incentive for me to make that leap just yet. Although I suppose from an objective standpoint, technically you could make the argument that, a beefier battery and a better screen are both technically kind of performance improvements, or I guess maybe experience improvements, I guess would be a more accurate thing to say. But for me personally, because I spend so much time with handhelds, obviously for a lot of that stuff here on the channel, I've kind of gotten into the habit of just keeping tons of beefy backup batteries nearby anyways, so if I really did want to sit down and, just have like a 12-hour marathon session of Death Stranding or something like that with my Steam Deck, or even the OLED Steam Deck, I could really just keep a bunch of backup batteries nearby and just kind of keep rotating them in and out if, again, wanted to play some like 12-hour monster session of the game. So visual improvements for most of my purposes are basically non-existent, battery life isn't a massive concern for me, and because I don't really play a lot of games that take advantage of the touchpads or touchscreen anyways, that's not really a huge draw for me either. So long story short, there's just not enough of a significant improvement to the bulk of my play experience that I would really just demand having the OLED Steam Deck at this point. Now, I suppose I could try to justify picking one up under the guise of making videos, because, obviously I would definitely make videos about it considering I do so much Steam Deck content here on the channel, but outside of like an initial review video or maybe like an X months later with the OLED Steam Deck kind of video after I've gotten some more time with it, I don't know that even, if I got 10 more videos out, if that would really justify me making my third major portable purchase for the year outside of the, again, the ROG Ally and also the PlayStation Portal. Although to be fair, the PlayStation Portal is a very different kind of beast and, certainly not in the same category, I don't think. But the name of this video is why I'm not buying one yet. So this is the flip side where I want to talk about some of the reasons that I will probably pick up the OLED Steam Deck at some point beyond just the raw excitement for a new device and that tasty OLED screen for whenever I do have some personal time to just kick back and enjoy it. And for starters, I would say the fact that they are functionally kind of the same from a graphical horsepower perspective is kind of a draw for me, because at this point I would have two Steam Decks. Now, that might sound, just self-indulgent at best and completely redundant at worst. I mean, I can only play one of them at a time, but the thing is, at that point it sort of becomes insurance, right? Because I spend so much time tinkering around with the Steam Deck, if I ended up accidentally breaking it, either because something went wrong with it directly, or more likely because I was trying to make a video and just ended up breaking something myself, well, then I'm not completely out of luck for making videos on the channels when I need to have a Steam Deck nearby, and I can just go ahead and swap over to the other one while I, wait for a replacement or a repair on the one that I probably screwed up. And I suppose, speaking a little bit more selfishly, I don't hate the idea of leaving my original Steam Deck just docked up at all times, ready to capture footage for the videos that I make here on the channel, and that would sort of free up the OLED Steam Deck to just kind of bomb around the house with me where I could just play games for enjoyment. And one of the other nice things about that is I would effectively double my storage space between the two Steam Decks, so I would be able to have way more games installed. And now that I think about it, that would allow me to just keep the games that I'm actively playing constantly installed on the OLED Steam Deck without having to, presumably as much, shuffle around what games I have installed where I have to delete something in a pinch just to make room for a game that I wanted to showcase for a video that I was working on. And the more that I think about it as I'm talking it out in this video, the more that sounds really, really appealing, just not quite appealing enough to drop another $650 for the privilege. And that's probably my final reason for holding off for at least a little bit longer, because I am positive that on a long enough timeline this thing is going to go on sale just like the original Steam Deck did. I mean, the original Steam Deck's not even 2 years old yet, and in at least one instance, Valve put it on sale for 20% off. I figure it's just a matter of time before the OLED deck gets the same treatment, and honestly this makes perfect sense, right? Valve knows that it can afford to sell its hardware at a loss because there's a very good chance that once you've bought into the Steam Deck, that you're also going to turn around and put those cost savings right back into the Steam marketplace anyway, so they're just going to make that up on the back end. Now obviously as the newest hardware offering, I don't expect that anytime soon, certainly not before Christmas or something like that, but I don't think it's outside the realm of possibility that sometime in the next 3 to 6 months that we're going to see a sale on the OLED hardware as well, and if that does happen, I will take a very much more serious look at going ahead and picking one up for myself for, well, all of the reasons that I've mentioned up to this point. So yeah, this isn't a super long video or anything. I know a few of you in the comments have been asking whether or not I was going to get the OLED Steam Deck or whether I'm going to cover it. Technically, I guess this counts as coverage in a very small, very lightweight sort of way, I guess. But the answer is not quite yet, but on a long enough timeline, almost certainly, because I sure do love an OLED screen, and even though I can't justify it quite yet, I am positive that sooner or later I absolutely will. So, hey, what about you? Were you already in the market for a Steam Deck and we're just delighted to see that an OLED offering just came out with all these tiny improvements beyond the screen? Or if you already have the Steam Deck, are you also like me where you're kind of on the fence about it and kind of weighing your options? And if so, what's your rationale for passing on it or going ahead and picking it up? I would love to hear about it. So, as always, thank you for taking the time out of your day to watch videos here. I really, really appreciate it. More stuff coming up soon as we ramp up towards the holidays. So, yeah, take care, and I will see you on the next one.